Update. I broke up with my boyfriend because he kept making jokes about murdering me. Original post. During our first few weeks of dating, he joked too much for comfort that he was going to unalive and dismember me and dispose of my body. Maybe out of context, I'm being dramatic? He's very sarcastic and has dark humor. But to me, it wasn't funny and caused me anxiety because I know the statistics. I talked to him about this. I told him repeatedly, stop joking about unaliving me. He kept on with the jokes until I finally told him that those jokes literally scare me. He apologized and seemed to feel bad that his jokes made me scared of him. Tonight we were over 3 hours late to meet with his brother to play games, watch movies, and eat dinner. When I was talking to him about us being late, I noticed he sighed deeply, clenched his fist, and looked down at it, as if he were making the conscious choice not to hit me. Then, as I was saying goodbye to his brother, he came into the room and said, she should say her permanent goodbyes. I asked him, WTF? He said it was a joke. I asked, how is it funny? What's the punchline? Please explain to me how that was supposed to be funny. He couldn't answer. I didn't want to get in the car with him. I walked off, and thankfully, my roommate picked me up and drove me home. He called later, and I told him I'm done. He's a good man, other than the jokes about unaliving me. We talked about it and agreed that he wouldn't joke about unaliving me anymore. But then he did it again tonight and doubled down that it was just a joke, and that actually I'm the problem. I started telling him, again, about how often women are offed by their husbands and boyfriends, and that's why the jokes bother me so much. But he interrupted me to say, F you. So I hung up and blocked him. All of this really sucks because my roommates say I should just talk it out with him and give him another chance, because they can tell I really like him and he really likes me. But I already did that. I thought we were past the homicide jokes. Then he did it again tonight while he was angry with me, and it caused me this awful feeling in my gut that I needed to not get in the car with him and get away from him. I've had boyfriends and male friends in the past. None of them have ever made jokes about unaliving and dismembering me, especially multiple times after I told them to stop. Have you had friends or boyfriends who make jokes like this? Where is the humor in it? What would you do in this situation? Now for the top advice before reading the updates. You've already given him chances. He agreed to change, then he broke his word. So not only is he verbally abusive and potentially violent, he also breaks his word. You did nothing wrong. There is no humor in what he said, and abusers frequently excuse their abuse in the 2 ways he did. First, they say it was a joke. If you don't accept that, they try to blame it on you. You don't want to become a statistic. Well, there are plenty of men out there who will never threaten to off you. You have done exactly the right thing. Don't feel bad about anything you've done. My one piece of old woman advice to you is to be very strict around dating men when it comes to threats. Joke or not, if a man threatens you in any way, tell him that if he does it again, it's over. Don't tolerate any kind of threats or violence ever. If the man is actually a danger, he will see tolerance as a sign that he can violate your boundaries without consequences. Read the book Why Does He Do That by Lundy Bancroft. OP should also read The Gift of Fear. That book explains why her intuition is correct, and she should always listen to it. Just remember, there's a lot of unalived women that once said he'd never do that to me. Everyone I've known who makes weird murder jokes like this had several screws loose. I think the guy has intrusive thoughts and makes them into jokes. He literally can't help himself. I have a dark sense of humor too, and consume a lot of horror-related content, but would never make a joke about victimizing a loved one. Just thinking about it gives me the ick. She did the right thing. The clenching the fist is what pushed me over the edge. It reminds me of the old-timey, why I oughta wife-beating type jokes. No thanks. Not worth sticking around and finding out. Mini update. Thank you, everyone, for your overwhelming support. Also, thank you for the important links and resources in the comments. I've learned a lot and shared them with my friends. I love this sub. I haven't heard from him, and he hasn't caused any trouble since the breakup. If anything comes up, I'll update this post. Now for the update almost a year later. I hope I'm not breaking any subreddit rules by posting an update, but I thought this sub would appreciate an update, given all the feedback my OP received and all the messages I read requesting one. My original post was almost a year ago. Thankfully, I have moved across state since then and have not seen him since. The last time I spoke to him, over the phone, I made it very clear several times. Me, you promised you'd stop making jokes about unaliving me, but then you did it again. You realize the greatest threat for women is being unalived by their boyfriends or husbands. They are most likely to be offed by men they know. Him, hey OP, F you. So I hung up. I ghosted him after that, blocked him on everything, and alerted my employer that if he showed up, he was a threat. However, he sent me an email in an attempt to, I don't know. I'll leave you to draw your own conclusions because I really can't make sense of it. I'm sorry if I quote it incorrectly. I'm on mobile. The email he sent me, Dear My Name, spelled wrong. He got my name wrong multiple times and it became a joke, which is what he refers to here. I don't really know how to go about saying that I am empathetic, as I'm a me-pathetic mess. But I do feel I can understand, and I have recognized. My actions have consequences, clearly. I thought I was being reasonable. I gave you time and space. I wasn't sure how long I needed to wait, or if I should just do nothing. But I didn't know you had even blocked me until today, as I had not called, and only texted that first day, expecting nothing back. Yet now I understand. I should have known. I tried to call you tonight though, despite my better judgment. That's when it hit me hard. It's been almost 2 weeks. I know you don't want to be in a relationship with me, but I wanted to end this civilly. I could hope at least. On terms that we both could live on, amicably, or me, since I didn't have a choice. That terrible night was booze-ridden, and unfortunately for me, the end of us. I didn't get any chance, but I made my choices, and I was cut out of you, like the cancer I became. Regardless of how much I remember, due to my memories being cut down by Irish whiskey, and I, hazed-focused. You ghosted me. Now I know how that feels as I have done that to others. I deserve this. It's interesting because you mentioned to me that I never had to change my number in my last relationship over 5 years ago, because all I needed to do was block them. Damn, history not only repeats itself, but can be freaking ironic. I lost one of my best friends. I lost you. I have been hurting, OP. This hurt even more when I realized you don't even want to communicate with me. I would ask why, but I know it's because you hate me, what you think of me, what you think I am. Who likes Andrew Tate? Nobody. I embody that nobody. I am hate. I am Tate. I obviously have a lot of growing up to do. I was not aware of just how much. I do not regret you or the experiences I shared, which were awesome and different than all the treasures I had experienced with another soul. We had so much in common, and yet the few things we didn't shaped themselves into a shadow that blocked our light, your light. I regret not realizing that perhaps I was just not ready. You are so beautiful and awesome, OP, and I hate hurting you in any way, especially since you deserve so much love. And instead, I gave you fear. You, however, only gave me happiness. You made me feel wanted, so much so that it blindsided me. I haven't been that happy in a very long time, and maybe that's why I fell for you so hard and so fast, as I had been in the dark for years, and your essence got me as high as a kite. I could see the sky for once. I was flying. I had been grounded since I lost my wings a few years ago, and it showed. I started sinking in the sands of time, in bottles, in gates drowned by my fears. My brother lost a friend because of me. I lost because of me. I may be a good person who does bad things, but I did a bad thing to a good person. It scares me to think that, when we do, and it will inevitably happen, as it's a small town, run into each other, you will fear me, and I will fear you. I don't want that. But I made my grave, and I suppose I need to sleep in it. I will not call you again as I did tonight, as much as I want to. You can always call me, but I am aware that is about as real as my dreams coming true. I have respected your space. I haven't tried to suffocate it or breathe your air. I just wanted to bury myself with a little dignity today, considering that I must be public enemy number 1. I'm embarrassed to admit that running into your roommates or even co-workers makes me feel uncomfortable. That I did, to myself and to you. I'm sorry, OP, I don't know what else to say. I know you will find someone sooner or later who will treat you with respect and make you feel loved. I am not him. I failed. But you will have that, as much as I don't want to think of it, and you deserve it. As much as I didn't commit to that. I know you think I don't love you. You can ghost me. You can not respond. I don't think you will anyway. Maybe you won't even read this, which is okay. I needed to say my piece, to rest at sea. But you can't take away how I felt, or how I feel at all. Maybe that was the problem. I was too much. You thought I was just a blip in time anyhow, and now, that blip can finally sink. In time. Thank you for all the support. There is no way he will ever hear from or see me again. I now live in a new town, a new home, and with a great man who respects and appreciates me. And for those wondering, he's 40. He's a really great guy, except for when he jokes about murdering me. What the actual hell? The bar is below hell. Me reading his email, my God, he is insufferable. I've met guys like this at university. All sucked. At least she walked away when she should have. OP, he is 40. Me, stares at the camera. I took the same journey. Ugh, Christ, I definitely went to college with a couple of these guys. OP, he's like 40. Me, deadpan face. That email reads like a manifesto. It really does. All these other commenters saying it just sounded immature, like a guy in his 20s trying to figure out his emotions. No, this absolutely reads like someone who is not well. Last story. Update. What do I say to my boyfriend, 44 male, who doesn't seem to realize he's just broken up with me, 45 female? Original post. I've been dating my boyfriend for about a year. When I met him, he had separated from his wife, and they were going through a divorce, 8 months after separation. I don't usually date men who are only separated, but we just clicked. One thing I've asked from the beginning is whether or not he wants to have more kids, because I'm child-free for medical reasons. He's always said he wasn't bothered either way. The relationship with his children is very strained, and they don't like going to see him. Now the divorce is complete. I've warned him that he'll spiral, having had friends go through the same thing, which is usually why I don't date men in this period. But he was adamant he was going to be fine. He isn't. He's totally spiraling. I've suggested that he go back to therapy, but he doesn't want to. I've said not to just have these thoughts and feelings swirling around in his head, and to talk if he needs to. He started talking to me about his feelings, and one of them is that he wants to have more kids. Now he said this in his stream of consciousness in a voice note. I'm on the waiting list for a hysterectomy. He's still texting as normal. How do I confront this? He doesn't really have anyone else to talk to. However, our relationship is basically over in my head now. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Sounds like you just need to be upfront and honest. Tell him he wants more kids, and you can't give that to him. You have broken up with him in your head, not him breaking up with you. Thank you for replying. I think a conversation definitely needs to be had. Could it have been a statement made in a spiral? Is it possible that the emotional complexities are deeper than a metaphorical shot across the bow? It seems like a simple conversation to reaffirm your choices is the next step. Perhaps he's truly interested in having more kids, in which case the relationship is done. I wouldn't call it a healthy process to check out without talking first. I believe it was, because I got another text this morning saying that he doesn't want to have any more now. Aside from all the other issues, did you not think it was a bit strange and off-putting that the man's children have a strained relationship with him and don't like seeing him? Like that for me would be a massive glaring red flag. Oh, if that was the case, we wouldn't have gotten this far. When we met, his kids were happy to see him and enjoyed their visits. However, as the divorce went through and his ex-wife didn't get exactly what she wanted, their attitudes started to change. Now I'm aware I'm only hearing his side, so you're welcome not to believe me. Even I was skeptical. There are certain things that his children have said about finances that make you wonder. Since you've had friends go through divorce, you know that some of the things people say in this major transition are just thoughts or words. It's really important, in my opinion, for people going through divorce to get therapy. You can't assume he realizes the implications of his rantings. You can certainly point it out. If you want kids, that would mean we're incompatible. Not sure if you're just having thoughts or if you're expressing actual intentions. Thank you for reminding me of this. It's a lot harder to remember when you're directly involved. What I don't want is for him to say what he thinks I want to hear, so that he still has me around. Now for the update 2 weeks later. Thanks for the answers. I replied to as many as I could, but eventually it got a bit repetitive. To those who never saw my replies and have the same questions, his kids were happy to see him when we met, but as the divorce became more acrimonious, they started to say things that, in my mind, children wouldn't typically say. If he had said anything about his children not wanting to see him when we first started dating, that would have been a red flag for me. Helping a friend through a divorce and listening to them go through various ideas is very different from seeing the person you're dating do it, especially when they are talking about things that mean the end of the relationship. Anyway, on to the update. We met up, and I asked him if he was aware that he said he thinks he wants to have more kids. He said yes, it's a possibility. I said, "You're aware that I'm on the waiting list for a hysterectomy?" He said yes. I said, "So you're aware that this essentially means we're over?" He said, "It doesn't have to mean that. We can continue to see each other until I make up my mind." People. I nearly fell off my chair. I stared at him and realized that he actually never knew me at all. Anyone who knows me knows I would never put up with his foolishness. I actually laughed and said, "You want me to continue to see you while you decide whether or not you want kids? And then if you do, I should just meekly walk away? Does that sound like that's fair?" He said no, but he loves being with me and doesn't want to lose me. I told him I was lost the minute he told me he might want more kids. I said I appreciate him telling me the truth, but the consequence of that means we're over. I told him what I'd have told a friend: sort out your relationship with the children you have before making new ones, and gave him a book on that subject. I left and cried. I'm going to miss him a lot. He's been texting, but I may block him soon. You just hang around until I decide if I want to keep you or not, okay? How on earth did you say no to such a wonderful offer? What's wild is him acknowledging how crappy that is and still expecting OP to stay with him. You were to be a security blanket while he went through the divorce and figured out who he was. I applaud your self-knowledge. Allow yourself to grieve what you lost. Time to block him so he can go figure out himself by himself.